All right. Anyway, we will start now. Okay.
Great.
I'm Jeff Stone, president of Project Help Long Island. And Project Help is a synonym, all right, for health education and life programs. The mission of Project Help Long Island is to unite communities throughout Long Island in providing families with the knowledge about how addiction works, the warning signs, and where to go for help. It's all about creating awareness and educating folks. That's what we're here for. We started last year as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we've been reaching a lot of people. Last month, we talked about the high school students and the difficulties that they're facing, but also ways to cope, healthy coping skills to develop. And also we try to emphasize, do not worry about being stigmatized. You know, we want to remove that stigma associated with mental health, illness, substance abuse issues. All right. So that being said, the topic for tonight is returning to school.
No.
I'm sorry, looking at the challenges our seniors face. That was last month. I'm so into, you see that? Okay, let's go. So looking at the challenges.
Get a medic to Jeff's house.
This is perfect for me tonight. Looking at the challenges our seniors face today. Okay.
Okay. So for tonight's topic, our traditional holiday celebrations may look very different this year. COVID, civil strife, and the uncertainty in our economy. Tonight we have a great panel, experienced panel of mental health professionals who will look at the challenges that we face. Our panelists will be talking about seniors who will be dealing with isolation and restrictions on gathering together with friends and family and the problems which result.
Okay, our guest panelists tonight, starting with Arlene Markarian, Assistant District Attorney, Chief Elder Abuse Unit, Nassau County District Attorney's Office. Lisa Stern, AVP, Senior and Adult Services, Family and Children's Association, FCA. Nina Dobris, Social Worker, Geriatric Care Manager, Aging Life Care Specialist, Circle of Care, and Northwell Health at Home. Nancy Mezrahi, Director of Senior Citizen Affairs, Town of North Hempstead, Department of Services for the Aging, Project Independence. Linda Livio could not make it tonight. She has to pick up her one child from upstate school because of COVID. They're not going to be having a spring school season. So instead, Debbie Greco-Cohen, who's the president of the executive board, Port Washington Adult Activity Center, is with us tonight. And we have a Town of North Hempstead resident and senior advocate in Otto Los. Okay. And myself and Dr. Kathy Levinson are co-moderators tonight. I want to thank the library, Janet West, Omar, our tech person today, for being here for us. And all right, Kathy, if you can finish off.
Yeah, also I wanted to add a thank you to the Port Washington Public Library for providing the Zoom meeting service for Project Help Long Island. We also welcome coalition partners, Dr. Joe Smith, Executive Director of Long Island Reach and Port Washington Counseling Center, Jennifer DeSana and Connie Bruno, Manhasset CASA, David Sills and Ellen Ritz, NAMI. Project Help especially recognizes the generosity of the Peter and Jerry DeJana Family Foundation and the support of the Kiwanis Club of Manhasset, Port Washington. There you go.
Okay, Kathy, you want to kick off tonight's discussion?
Yes, I would love to. I'm looking at just quite a formidable panel here of professionals and individuals who are experienced and knowledgeable, and we're very grateful to have you here. We're here to talk about seniors and the challenges that they are facing. And so we're wondering initially in this panel tonight, what do we need to know about our seniors? In other words, what is the current situation of our seniors? And all of you who are on the front line, what have been your observations? So, perhaps we can start anywhere. We can start with Lisa or Arlene, just to tell us what is it you're seeing? And anyone, and all of you, please.
I think the biggest, when we first had the pandemic, the biggest challenge was food insecurity. People couldn't get to the stores. They couldn't get food. And I think we immediately immediately changed the way we were doing work. Our children began shopping for seniors. We had a grant to do food shopping and drop the groceries off to them. But I think that was kind of a way in. On a little bit of a positive twist, the loneliness and the isolation made people more willing to talk to us. So while the way in was around food, some clients that didn't answer their phones or never had access to services were really willing to listen, and they were so grateful for having that human contact and the sound of a human voice on the other end of the phone that it broke the isolation. Some of our clients said, please, you're calling too much, because every person in our agency was calling to check on our clients. So we know loneliness and isolation is poor for people's health, their mental health, their physical health. So we really wanted to address that immediately. They were also having a heightened anxiety. I think Nassau County did such an amazing job with transitioning so quickly to virtual supports, which obviously is a challenge for many of our seniors, especially our 85 and over population, which is why the phone was our best friend. We actually had conference calls for people who were experiencing anxiety around COVID. So we had to get very creative. But I have to say, like, the senior centers had virtual programming. The Alzheimer's programs had amazing programming. And our job was really to coordinate services with all of these amazing agencies and get the word out to our clients and access the clients that were homebound and reduce their isolation.
Thank you,
Uh-huh.
Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
So
I want to respond to that, Lisa. For most of you have heard of Project Independence. We are the town of North Hempstead's Aging in Place initiative for those seniors 60 and over who would like to remain in their own homes and communities. Very early on, I guess in the spring, under the supervision of Supervisor Judy Bosworth, we very quickly went to virtual programming. And with that, what we did is Zoom training. We know seniors who have to access and use this technology do so much better. So not only did we provide training, but we put everything online on the town of North Hempstead television. Are you able to hear me?
I think Donna's phone needs to be muted.
Please, yeah. For those who aren't panelists, please mute your phones.
What we also did is, our Project Independence members, for years and years, we've been encouraging that people don't wait until there's an emergency, that they plan and they plan and they plan. And basically what we've asked people to do is put their circles of supports together and mobilize. Our Project Independence transportation program, we immediately changed it all up. We offered free transportation prior to the pandemic to a shopping destination. But then what we did is say, forget about the tip. The town will take care of that. So it was hands-free, where seniors could feel comfortable getting into a taxi and going to a shopping destination. We also did the same thing. Our taxis for medical transportation within the town of North Hempstead, what we did is we made that free. So again, what we did is made things so much easier for our seniors. Our social workers and nurses were reaching out on the phone. The whole idea is we kept the social connections going, and people were now able to connect with us from their home. Even our exercise programs, people who did not come to the exercise programs all of a sudden found out that they can Zoom or they could watch North Hempstead television. So we really, we were incredibly quick in mobilizing so that we could stay connected with our seniors. That's what we did. And I must tell you, we have found that so many of our seniors have been so resilient through this whole process. Obviously, everybody is sad. Everybody has lost loved ones. Everybody is missing their families, their traditions. But I think that when you have these connections, and also I'm sure, Lisa, what we did is we did a friendly visitor via telephone. So we had the Neighbor Helping Neighbor telephone reassurance program. We had no trouble getting volunteers, and we had no trouble getting seniors who wanted these friendly phone calls. So to date, we have about 55 matches made in heaven, and people are really, really responding to it and feel that they're actually cared about in the town of North Hempstead. And I think that's all our role and responsibility, to make everybody that we come in contact with feel connected, feel cared about. And yes, food insecurity has been a big thing. Our social workers have really helped seniors navigate with getting food deliveries, with getting free food, as I'm sure many of your organizations have done as well.
Wow.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. I mean, I'll tell you, I was so excited to come tonight and meet with all of you, and really feeling so much gratitude that we're all in this together. We have a united mission, and I think that we all go home and we sleep well at night because we know we're doing everything in our power to keep our seniors safe, well-connected, and feeling cared and loved for.
I think the friendly visiting programs are so important. We also have one that was, also went to phone contacts. But I do want to just highlight, I want to highlight the underserved communities that don't have access to broadband. I think if the pandemic taught us anything, there are people that are marginalized that can't benefit from telehealth and social connection, and they're really isolated. And that's why the phone, I say, was our best, weapon, because, that's how we access those people. But it's still something we really need to think about as a community to do better,
Otto, you had a,
Yes,
Yeah.
just to support what Nancy's talking about, I'm a volunteer with Project Independence and work with John Ryan, and we've been doing the radio show virtually since March. And I think one of the biggest things that comes out of this whole thing is the need to encourage as much as possible seniors to get to use technology, because if you're not onto technology and you're isolated, you are isolated. You will get an occasional phone call, but for the most part, you are very, very limited in terms of what communication you can do and what you can learn. And I think whatever can be done, or as a program to encourage people to use technology who are seniors, who at some point fought it because, I'm not going to do it. It's not here to stay, blah, blah. Well, it is here to stay. And Project Independence has a lot of backdrop that will train people who are seniors, and they can use a tablet on a very limited basis. You don't have to be Albert Einstein to do it. I'm just saying, I think it's critical for everybody to try to encourage seniors to use technology. There's no loss in that. It's just a gain.
May I just say something? Maybe you are going to do the same thing. Janet, can we unmute? Now she's unmuted.
Just did it, she did.
Okay, okay, thank you. Thank you, Otto, very much.
yeah,
Nice
I just
to hear.
want to add one thing before we move on. Otto, I know I've known you for a while through Project Independence, and that's a great aging in place initiative within the town of North Hempstead, allowing people to safely age in place, and that's a huge thing. And I know you're on the Project Independence Radio and you hosting, and I've been interviewed on that before, but it's a great service you do, and you stay active. I mean, listening to what you're doing these days, my God, you're never going to stop, I guess, so that's a good thing. Just always remain active.
Can I just, I represent the Port Washington Adult Activity Center, and we ran a techno program where we had computers and we're teaching them, basic things. We lost the funding for it, but I completely agree with you. And it's so easy. And like you said, even just the tablet, it's so easy to use. And I would really like to bring that program back at some point. So reach out to the town for.
We actually, in our linkage project, we have a linkage project which reaches out to seniors who have mental health or substance abuse or are having trouble connecting with resources, and they have tablets, and they've been working with them to get, Calm app and all different resources on their tablets and training them to use those tablets.
And what kind of program did you call it?
Called Linkage through FCA, and it's really targeting those seniors that fall through the cracks, that need additional intensive case management, that can't make use of the regular services. The other thing that the Office for Aging did was they had these robotic pets that we've been giving out to seniors in the community, and they've been wonderful. They're like, they move to your body, they wag their tail, they move around, and it's almost like having a pet that you don't have to care for. And the seniors have really fallen in love with them, and it's addressed some of the loneliness. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Is your organization an independent organization, or are you part of the county?
Some of us, we're funded by Nassau County Office for Aging in our ISEP program. We have a lot of different funding streams, but we're a nonprofit social service agency. We've been around for like 136 years.
Wow, that's great.
And I think Jeff Reynolds has spoken, Dr. Reynolds, our CEO, about other programs, substance abuse program that we've had.
I work part-time for our county legislator, Delia DeRiggi-Whitten, is very, very into seniors and children. We should talk at some point.
Yeah, let's connect.
Can we hear from Ellen Ritz, because I know that you can't stay.
Right, I have another meeting. So,
Yeah.
but thank you. It sounds wonderful, the things and there's a lot more that's going to be said when I leave, which I'm disappointed in. But I'm from NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness, and I am going to say a few words with my other hat on as a nurse. And one of the things, as stress happens, COVID, not seeing your family members, all the things that cause stress in everybody, but particularly in people who are aging and probably having less independence. I know there's a lot of services, and I'd love to hear all that's going on, but stress causes problems not only with the mental health, but my other hat is that it also causes illness. And stress causes, we've done a study when I was at Mount Sinai about diabetes and type 2, and when does that happen? Under stressful situations, continual stress. So one of the things that I just want to offer is the first thing when you see a behavioral change is definitely get a physical exam, because having your oxygenation, your heart, your kidneys function less for all of us as we age, and all of the different systems that we have. When they go out of balance, when you're getting less oxygen or you're not getting rid of the impurities in your body, sometimes you have psychosis, which is temporary. When you fix that balance, it goes back into actually more normalcy of thinking and being able to express yourself. But one of the things that people probably don't do now is see their doctors because they're afraid of the COVID. So just really the first thing when you see a behavioral change, please don't start medication right away like an antidepressant. Please get a physical workup to make sure it's not something that you can correct in another way. And then the second one is certainly acknowledge feelings and see where you need to support and get treatment. So
Ellen,
Yes.
Ellen, I have a question for you. It's Arlene from the DA's office. Also, what you're talking about, wouldn't that also sometimes cause folks to perhaps have memory issues because they They have other medical issues. I find that a lot of times older people or their family members may think they have dementia or Alzheimer's when in fact they don't. And so I was wondering if you can address that, because I think it's really important people out there don't self-diagnose, especially when it comes to Alzheimer's or dementia.
So anxiety for everybody decreases your focus and your ability to concentrate. So memory issues would be probably one of the first things, particularly as we age, and there's a certain amount of somewhat senior loss, but which is probably fairly normal or expected. But there's beyond that, and I thank you, Arlene. The people who jump right away that, oh, they have dementia, and it's really not really helpful, and it's hurtful to the person, because if they also believe that they're now losing their memory permanently with dementia or Alzheimer's, they're going to be under even more stress.
Right.
So the calmer that the family and that people who help them can be, and just try to help them get a checkup, blood tests, EKGs, whatever, going to a doctor would really be helpful. And just even a baseline is helpful. So thank you, Arlene. And anytime that you need support, all of our programs in NAMI are free. They're for family members as well as people who are struggling, as well as seniors. And we have all different people. So again, we have support groups, we have classes, we have all kinds of important presentations to staff and schools, and certainly we could come to a senior. I just did one for SNAP in Queens, which is a senior caregivers.
Ellen, I'm hoping you can stay on. You're going to stay on because I have another question for you. Okay.
Yeah, I do have 6 minutes.
If that, okay. So you already know that I'm a prosecutor and I run the elder abuse unit. I work very closely with Family and Children's Association. The most common profile of an abuser nationally is going to be, unfortunately, the adult child or grandchild who, or other close family member who's living with an aging relative, their parents usually, and the offender, the abuser, is mentally ill, maybe chemically addicted, they're self-medicating, and things escalate in the household. And we're talking about isolation as well. These families are isolated, and the violence will start and it'll escalate. So I was wondering, with respect to NAMI, we're always trying to find ways of helping the offenders, because these parents love their children and they're trying to handle this situation. And it can be very dire for them because they're getting injured and sometimes they're being killed because of the violence that's escalating. Is there something that, maybe we can work with NAMI and Family and Children's regarding this issue?
Absolutely. And it's a very tough situation, because parents in particular, whether they're older or not, but particularly elderly, are hesitant to complain about their children, and they feel dependent. And if I complain, I'll even get it worse. So we deal with all of that. I have people, now that we're Zoom, I think we're going to keep Zoom, because we have a lot of people, particularly the elderly elderly are probably one of them, but the elderly who can't drive at night or hesitant or come from different distances. It's wonderful. And the technology that everybody's supporting and offering people to keep that connection, because connection is a primary human need for everybody. And having someone understand and being able to be there. I actually work with a few families that are having some of those issues. So thank you for asking.
I think we've made a lot of referrals to you, Ellen. I think Christiana has connected with you from FCA, and part of our thoughts is that if we can help the perpetrator, then we can help the victim, because Arlene always says it's the only crime where the victim loves the perpetrator more than they love themselves.
But I will say that mental health disorders are not violence, whether it be physical, verbal abuse, stealing, and destruction, are not part of mental health disorders. And so therefore, it's not acceptable. And so I do work with families that
I should say that the vast majority of people that are suffering from mental illness, managing their illnesses and living their lives, but you have really, my understanding it's about 5% where there is this issue where there's violence. And it's in a lot of these households. And this is what I see. And, you know, and I can tell you that over COVID, and Lisa knows this because I'm referring like every case, every victim to Family and Children's, where we had maybe last year about 21 felonies being assault cases, violations of orders of protection, but most of them were assaults. Just during COVID alone, we just during the COVID time from March until I'm just going to count to September, we had over 30 cases. And that's just the felonies. I'm even considering the lower crimes and the misdemeanors. So we're talking a lot of assault cases, folks that are isolated in their home, living with an adult child, or and living with an issue where this adult, we're talking 30 and 40-year-old children who have a history of mental health issues. They're not getting the proper treatment. They're going off their meds and they're self-medicating with alcohol and drugs. They're unemployed and they rely on the parent for a roof over their heads and for money. And it escalates. And I've seen this. I've been doing this a long time. And unfortunately, it can escalate to very serious consequences, even death. And so all these folks that are out there, we're trying to get in there to let them know that there's help out there and they don't have to suffer in silence. They can get help for their loved one as well.
Yeah.
May I just pause for one moment because my co-host here, Jeff Stone, is muted, and I think he's having trouble being unmuted. So Janet or Omar, we got to help a guy out.
Wondering why it was so peaceful.
Watch, we'll mute you, Debbie. There he is. There he is. We've heard from Arlene, but Arlene, did you want to add something more about what you're seeing and what you're doing? Because we haven't yet heard from Nina, but we want to make sure that you have your chance to say all that you want to.
Do you want me to say it all now? Or do you want me to like let other people speak for a while? I'm going to be here for the entire time. So whatever's.
Well, you're in the Nassau County DA there with elder abuse. So give us a picture of your day.
Well, a picture of my day is typically cases coming in with these issues where you have violence occurring in a household. You have 75, 80-year-old, 90-year-old victims where people are much more prone to serious injury with a lot less force. And I say this because I think it's so important for people to realize we get a little bit desensitized to violence based on everything we see on TV. And so something that we would say is a simple shove or a slap may not be considered that serious. But, I would always, when I do trainings on this, I train at the police academy everywhere. And I talk about it. I said, if Lisa Stern and I get into a beef and she pushes me down, I mean, if I stood up right now, you would see that I'm pretty well padded. And the truth is that I may fall on my butt and get a bruise. And, Lee, I love you, but I'd push you back. And so, but if I was to push my 73-year-old mother or my 80-year-old father, the same exact action that would cause me maybe a bruise could cause them a fall with a broken hip. Now, I don't know how many people out there know somebody that broken bone or a broken hip like that's older, but I could tell you that for a lot of people, it's their ticket out. My mother fell. Nobody pushed her, and she had osteoporosis, which is the brittling of the bones in a lot of postmenopausal women, and she ended up fracturing her hip, and she died within a few days.
Oh. She
had Alzheimer's. I mean, I appreciate the response to it. It's just that for me, it's just an example of that people are fragile, can get more fragile as they get older, and they don't bounce back from the injuries like they did when they were younger. And so we have to really keep an eye on it in these households where somebody is being pushed around or shoved. It escalates, and so this is what I'm seeing every day. I'm seeing more and more people that are trying to care for the mentally ill or chemically addicted adult children. They're providing support for them. They're giving them a home, but it's because it's a violent household. And these folks are walking on eggshells because they don't want to set the person off. And that's no way to live. It's just, and for the parents out there that might be listening, if there's anybody out there that this is happening to them, you love your sons and daughters, but if they do something really bad to you, they're going to prison. And so you're not really necessarily helping by letting them get away with it all the time. If it becomes past a certain point where a person is seriously injured or dies, now your son or daughter is facing some serious prison time. And I don't think anybody wants to see their sons and daughters go to prison. So we don't live forever. And your sons and daughters have to figure out how to manage their mental illness. And so I think we need the community and all these agencies to step in. How is this person going to learn to manage their mental illness?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that FCA does. We have a really phenomenal support team, and they provide that ongoing support, safety planning for the victims, but also kind of support and education and encouragement, and help them to see the situation where they're helping their child, because they're not going to be here forever, and they want to see their child be able to succeed in life, and break some of these patterns. So we do try to connect their loved one with supports, as well as address the victim. A lot of these things have been happening for so long, these family patterns, and it's very hard to break them. But we have a lot of patience, and we make a lot of support calls and encouragement, and we walk them through the whole system, and we try to advise them what their options are. Again, it's a little different than the DA, but the DA has been amazing with, helping them to get maybe programming and, mental health support instead of jail time, if they'll accept that. So Arlene's always willing to work with us and, with the victims.
We try to, if a loved one is arrested, I can only speak for the Nassau County DA's office, but I can tell you that any case that comes in that's a case like this, an elder abuse case where a parent or a grandparent or other relative, we look at these cases with an eye towards, okay, what is the issue with the offender? Can we get a program? We have a mental health court in Nassau County. We have drug treatment courts in Nassau County. So we can work out what they call a plea bargain, a plea offer where they attend treatment. I can't say it's going to be in every case. There are a lot of factors. How bad is the incident? I'm just going to be honest. I mean, if you're talking multiple stabbings and things like that, you're probably not qualified to be in a program because it's too violent now. It depends on the person's prior record as well. So these are the things that we look at. So if you have a loved one and that person gets arrested, that's something that we can talk about regarding what kind of treatment does this person need, and can we do that? And I think that's it. The most important message out there is speak to somebody about what's happening to you, because then maybe they can reach out for you. I get calls all the time, hypotheticals. Well, what if? Family and Children's will ask me, what if, what do you think could happen in this situation? I mean, just don't suffer in silence, because that's not the way to live.
Yeah. At this time, and that's a very serious subject, I've got to say, and being on the heroin task force under Renee Fisher's tutelage, everything is up across the board. I would imagine elder abuse is way up. I know substance use is way up, suicide's way up, and we're losing funds to all these organizations that so again. It's terrible, but I want to go to someone I've known for quite some time. That's Nina Dobris, and Geriatric Care Manager. Hi, Nina.
Hi, Jeff.
What are you seeing on your end? How are clients coping during this pandemic, shortage of daylight, family restrictions? Pretty much everything in 2020.
Wow. It's been really difficult for all my clients. But first, let me just say that I have not stopped visiting in person with my clients at all. Okay, I feel very strongly that my clients need to have that contact with me and people in general. So I do continue to visit my clients every week or every 2 weeks, depending on what their situation is. So that being said, I can give you an example of one particular client of mine. She's a 94-year-old woman. She lives alone at North Shore Towers, a very large community of seniors. They have a lot of activities, community activities, a lot of stuff. This woman was very, very independent. She would get involved with all different kinds of programs and classes available to her in her building, had lots of friends. She drove a car. Since the pandemic, she stopped communicating. She would maybe talk on the phone. She stopped participating in all of the activities. She started getting really depressed. She had said to me prior to that, we had talked about, what was the future plan? Was she going to stay at home? Was she going to move to an assisted living? What was she going to do? She has one child, a son that lives in Dallas, Texas. He would come to visit her periodically, but she was fiercely independent and wanted to remain in her own home. So fast forward to a couple of months ago, when I had a conversation with the son to talk about what are we going to do. He could not get on a plane to come and visit his mother, had not visited her in quite, some time for the duration of the pandemic. And, she's getting sad and he's getting sad, and they're worried about what's the future going to hold. So he and I had a conversation about, broaching the subject to her on my next visit, which is quarterly. So I went in there to see her, and I started the conversation with her about, what do you want to do? And it was my mind that I was going to try to convince her to move to Dallas, to like an independent living facility so she could be close. Look, she's 94, and trying to use all the angles. You don't have much time left. Whatever time you have left, why don't you spend it with your family? Like, I was going to use all of the angles. Well, I didn't need to do a thing. She immediately said, Nina, and her voice broke because she said, I think it's time. I really think it's time. I can't stand this anymore. I can't stand being home alone all the time. I can't, the only time I ever go out is maybe if I see a doctor or if I go food shopping. I can't be with other people. All my activities have ceased. My life is nothing anymore. And it was really just so emotional for me too. And then I had the son, I got the son on the phone. And I said, your mom wants to talk to you, and she went and told him, I think I'm ready to come to live in Texas with you. So that is the most poignant story that I can share with you about how my clients are coping with COVID. It's sad. It's really, really sad, especially for people who don't understand technology. It's awful. It's a very nice, to have all these things, virtual, like Zoom and this and that other thing. But if you can't figure it out, what's the sense? And, other people in this panel have talked about phone calls and things like that, which is fabulous. But there's no substitute for human contact. So that's why I go in person. I wear my mask, I social distance, but I go. I spend time with them. I sit, I talk to them. I help them do whatever it is that they need to get done on that particular visit. As a care manager, I do all sorts of things. Sometimes I take them out. I take them to doctor appointments. Sometimes I'll fill their medication box. Sometimes we just sit and we talk. There's all different things that I do for my clients, but that's really the gist of it. Thank you.
I know,
Thank
Marguerite, I want to get to Debbie after Marguerite. Marguerite, you had your hand up for.
Yes, I just want to agree with what Nina has said about visiting clients. I'm with Family and Children's Association with Lisa in their bill pay program. And we have been visiting our clients over the summer outdoors. We sat on porches, under trees, we meet in a gazebo, however we had to do it, because we have to help them with all of their paperwork and their bills and so on. And I have to say, they are so appreciative to be with a real person. And many of them have said that so many of the other agencies are not making any kind of home visits. So we are one of the few that do it. And they are so grateful for every minute you spend with them. And it's really, and this is what they need. We see it more and more. They need that kind of contact.
Okay, thank you, Marguerite. I'd like to get to Debbie Greco. Debbie, I know you're president of the board, the Adult Activity Center in Port Washington. You've got your finger on the pulse here, and you're involved in so many activities. What are you seeing that's out there that stands out?
Well, we, for several months, the staff, the director and then the two part-time staffers were calling the members every day, and some of them looked forward to the calls. Most of the members of our center are actually, they're all relatively independent. Most of them drive, some of them don't, but they're not frail elderly. A lot of them come every day. Some of them come once a week. They enjoy the exercise programs and the different, painting and so on, and then lunch at the center. So they all had, before we decided to close, and we closed before everything really shut down, probably just about a week before. But I asked the director, are there any members who will be hungry that we need to look out for if we close? Because in a lot of cases, the hot lunches we serve is their only hot meal of the day and their biggest meal of the day. And she said that there wasn't, that most of them were either married or they had adult children living near them. So it gave us the confidence to close. And then very quickly after that, everything basically shut down anyway. But the staff was calling the members. They weren't calling the same members every day, but after, let's just say on a 4-day rotation, they would be calling the same members. And some of them enjoyed chatting, and some of them were, they were for the most part appreciative that they were being called, but a lot of them were fine. And because they're living with someone else, or they've got, adult children living nearby. So for the most part, they were all right. But the programs that like Project Independence is offering, some of them are taking advantage of the exercise classes and so on, but a lot of them, they're not techno savvy. And I think that it's really important. This is sort of really shouted that it's important, should become more important to them, I suppose. And I know that, I'm sorry, I don't know who said it before, but like especially the 85 and older group. But I liked the concept of using like iPads and other tablets like that are really easier to use, and people that don't feel that they need computers, but to be able to have human contact, even with their children and grandchildren. So, once unfortunately, we're not even on, like there was that phase list, and I know it's kind of all gone out the window now with the increase in cases, but we weren't even on a list. We weren't even part of a phase, because we certainly can't serve them meals because they have to take their mask off to eat them. And they're very vulnerable. And we are so fortunate. We lost one member to COVID within the first 2 weeks that the center closed in March. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be devastating. And we didn't lose another member. And so we just don't even know when we can reopen. But I think that technology, it sounds scary, but it's really not, especially if you keep it, to that simple level. And I'd like to work with Nancy and, and Kimberly and so on programs that we can offer them once maybe it doesn't even have to be once we're reopened, but maybe, after the holidays, it would be a good thing to do, and to really get them more engaged in things that are going on, even when they're not at the center. But, we're doing what we can, and we're continuing to reach out to them. But again, I feel that for the most part, they're really doing quite well, considering, at least our member base are. You know, I think that there are, you know, others who don't go out of the house or don't have family and friends nearby are definitely going to have greater issues, but it's really not the case for our member base.
Otto, did you want to say something?
Yes, one of the things that strikes me is, like, I hear Lisa and Nina and Marguerite and the tremendous amount of great people and great organizations that are out there that want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest things I see is as maybe a potential need of these services, or a caregiver, a family member, the biggest problem is, how do you find these organizations? You know, you're sitting in your house. I had my own experience. My mother lived with us for 11 years, and I look back on it, and my wife and I were both working, and I look back on it, and I think often about Project Independence. I'm a little partial, obviously, because I work with them. But the thing about Project Independence is that they will basically partner with all of these different groups that are here and steer people to where they think the need is. And I think one of the biggest difficulties is, as a person who could use the service, where do you go? You know, do you go on, if you don't know how to use the internet, or
Right.
who do you talk to?
Well,
And
you
I
know
think,
that
you know, educating people about how to get to these services,
Yeah.
I think is very important.
And you're absolutely right, Otto. And I have to tell you, I've been on the board of the Senior Center for 17 years.
A
And
million
there are
years.
a couple of organizations that I'm not even familiar with, and I'm embarrassed to say that. And so if I'm feeling that way, that members would feel that way also. We thankfully actually just got a grant. It was specified to create a website, a better, we just haven't had a website for all this time because we really haven't wanted to spend the money on it. But that, to me, and again, it's maybe it's to the more technologically savvy senior as well as their adult children, to reach out and put all of those resources, obviously Project Independence and, you know, all of the any other resources that they can have, and have better contact also with the adult children. That's another issue we have with our members. We only have the phone numbers of their emergency contacts, which tend to be their adult children if their spouse isn't still alive, but they don't want us to speak to them or deal with them. They just, you know, they don't want us they don't want to be a bother. And so we would like to engage them more because it would help their parents, but, you know, so that's something we have to work on as well.
Nancy?
Yes, hi. I just wanted to address community partnerships. Project Independence would not be as successful as it is without our community partners.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many referrals that we have made to Family and Children's Association, who has been helping our Project Independence members for years with Medicare. You have Barry Klitzberg, who's been doing an amazing job. So he's done a lot of, he's done several Zoom meetings for us this year. Marguerite has educated our members as well. I wanted to mention this before. One of our go-to organizations is the Alzheimer's Association Long Island chapter. So when we have seniors or their family members who are, especially now, who are so concerned about, oh, I'm getting really dull, I'm getting forgetful. They need information about what is normal and what is not. So that's our go-to organization. We are not the only kids on the block, and our social workers and nurses will navigate patients and their families to get the services that they need. So it's really important that we're all here because we need to rely on each other. Again, it takes a village, it takes a community, and here we are.
Yes.
Thank you. Can we get Phyllis in, because she's been waiting patiently. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, Phyllis, you like to say something?
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that in the world that I'm in, with caregivers being in homes where the children, out of the concern for their parents, not wanting to expose their parents to the possibility of COVID, we have been able to place caregivers. But like Nina was saying, it's important to have those eyes. Very often those seniors are dependent on their children to order food deliveries and things like that. And the caregivers will let us know, there's no food in this house. It's too cold. They haven't had an oil delivery or something like that. And you can't really criticize the children because everyone is so overwhelmed by this virus and by trying to maintain their own homes and remote learning for their children, et cetera. That sandwich generation is having a tough time. But Nina's visits are so important, and that kind of thing between, our caregivers reporting back to us and being able to reach out to care managers, or even situations where adult protective services has come in because there has been neglect, is so important. This is such a difficult time, and I appreciate the efforts of everyone, and the resources of Project Independence are incredible, and I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Arlene, you had something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, with one of the things that we noticed, and I think Lisa would agree, is that the older we get, also one of the fears is losing your independence. And so somebody had mentioned how it would be great if they can call the adult children and get them engaged, but the senior may not want that to happen. And I think that what I find in a lot of the cases is that the parents, they don't want necessarily their adult children being notified about things because they're afraid they're going to lose their independence. A lot of people don't know what their rights are also. And so they don't realize that because somebody says, oh, you can have somebody say, look, I'm going to make you come live with me, or I'll make you, you'll have to go into a nursing home. That's one of the biggest fears of a lot of people. My mother used to say, I'd rather be dead before I go to a nursing home. I mean,
yes,
we don't want that, but people are afraid of that. And they don't know what their rights are. And I tell people all the time that nobody can necessarily force you into that situation. And so again, I would throw it out there that folks that are listening, know what your rights are. Call one of these agencies, call Family and Children's, speak to your senior center director, speak to somebody, because this way you'll feel more comfortable as to what somebody can make you do and not make you do.
I think you make a good point, Arlene, because I think that maybe there are folks that feel that, they don't have any say at all, that they don't have any rights at all, and it wouldn't even occur to them to think that they've got their own rights. So that's a very powerful thing that you're saying.
Well, it's also an abuser's tool. I would throw out there that it's like in financial abuse situations and different kinds of situations, a person will use that claim, will say to somebody, if you don't have me, you're going to go into a nursing home, or if you don't do this, I'm going to put you in I'm going to put you in a home. And people become very afraid of that, and it's understandable. And they really don't realize that, hey, no, you can't force me to go someplace I don't want to go. So I think it's important that people know what their rights are.
Yeah, and I think that's it's a delicate balance, because people have the right to self-determination to make their own decisions, even if they're bad decisions. And we have to respect that, and consent is very important as well. We would never contact someone that the client did not want us to contact. But as far as getting the word out on Otto's question before, I wanted to say that the Nassau County Office for Aging has New York Connects, which is always a great place to call, and they connect everybody with resources in the county, no matter what the issue is. So that's a very good resource. We do a lot of outreach presentations in the community. We're doing them virtual now, but we work with a lot of the places of worship, especially in the underserved communities, to get the word out about our services and other services, because we're all connected to all of you. And, I think Nancy said it takes a village. It does take a village. And we're so happy to have all these great programs and partnerships. And our whole goal is to connect this person with whatever resources in the community are going to benefit them.
I had a question for Arlene, because I know that, or I suspect that, during the course of your work, you see things that are very sad and very disturbing, to say the least. Not to put you on the spot, but, if you had a wish list what you know, if you could only make something happen for seniors, what would that be? You know, is it getting them information, getting them help? You know where I'm
Yes.
coming from?
Yeah. In my world, if I had I think the top of my wish list, you know, I've been asked, what wish list do you have? Because if I can get money for something in the DA's office, and, you know, I have a few things I would want, but I have to say, and I just hope that nobody minds me saying this, like, you know, I should be asking money for something for my agency or something for me. What I want is more help with mental health issues for the offenders, because they are so intertwined with each other. That if we can get more housing out there, the mental health system is broken. It's a broken system, and anybody that's had to deal with it knows it. You know, you went from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I'm aging myself now, with Jack Nicholson, the movie, where people were being warehoused in these facilities and their rights were not being taken into account. There was no due process. And the pendulum swung over to let everybody out, but there's no accountability and there's nobody monitoring what the situation is. And so people think, oh, if I bring my son to the hospital, the hospital will keep him and they'll make him do a program. It doesn't work that way at all. So my wish list is that they would fix the system. And if we can't fix the system that way, then provide more funding so that there's housing to separate people, let these offenders live in therapeutic housing where it's safer for the victim and they can start living their lives, because they're enmeshed. They're enmeshed in each other's lives, and it's not healthy for either one of them. That's my
Thank you
wish.
very much. Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, what I'd like to do now is to shift. I mean, we see all the tough things out there, the difficulties, what folks are going through, and we like to end on things that are on a positive note. Where can you go for help? What can you do? What are things that people can do today, tomorrow, and next week? Who to call? And we have a resource link page towards the end we'll put up there for people to call. But, you know, myself as a Kiwanis member, and Kathy's a member of the Kiwanis, you know, volunteering is a great thing to do. It actually gives you a better lifestyle, improves your life, mental outlook. But, you know, again, listening to like Dr. Jeff Reynolds and Dr. Stephen Dewey talk about co-occurring mental health and substance use disorders. My God, it's like anything can happen at an early age. It can start even with a trauma. So mental health, yeah, that's a huge thing. And we have to stop the stigma. So in any case, we have to keep opening up the can and talking about it. But let's bring it to how we can help people. What can they do? Positive coping skills, all right, that people can start doing right away.
Don't isolate. Reach out to people, reach out to a neighbor, reach out to a friend, reach out to an agency. Don't isolate. There's help out there. There are so many wonderful programs. Then you don't have to do this alone. That's the best advice I could think of.
Okay.
Go ahead, Otto.
Yeah, as a senior, I think that there's a lot of things you can do. You have to have a purpose, and I'm in the super senior category, all right? But you have to have a purpose. You have to have a reason to get up and to do things. And I think if anything, seniors they have to get motivated. You have to have the will to want to do something. And there's so many things people could do. They could have projects. You're the one who knows all about the old family. You know who all these old pictures are. Go through the pictures, write on the back, or digitize them if you have that capability. There's a ton of things you can do just based on that kind of thing. Old movies, go through them, digitize them, instead of them winding up in the garbage somewhere or on the wall of a bar, with nice old people in the picture, but nobody knows who they are. So I'm a big one on people trying to do something. You know, I have a thing, it takes as long to do something as it does to do nothing.
Yeah,
So you
you're
might as well do something,
you're right.
you know, as
Can
opposed
I
to.
ask you, the volunteering that you're doing, like with Project Independence and so on, did you just decide to do that, or did someone ask you to help?
The story on why I got involved with Project Independence, I've been involved pretty much from the beginning. And I saw a little blurb in the newspaper. I had just gone through my mother living with us, and she had passed. And, you know, we went through 11 years of all the things you go through. My mother was great. She was easy to handle, but you have all kinds of stuff that goes on. You know, you need somebody in the house. It's hard to get people. You have to get them to the doctor. You have to do this. You have to do all the things that people have to do. And I saw this little article in the newspaper, the local paper, that said they're working on this idea to help people stay in their own home if they want. So I went to the meeting, and I knew I wanted to do something. I wasn't really sure what it was going to be. And I was Evelyn Roth and Madge Kaplan.
I remember both of them well.
If anybody knows those two ladies, they were involved in the meeting that I went to. And the sincerity of those people and the other people, I can't remember them all, but they were all terrific. So I thought, well, you know, what do I bring to the table? I bring to the table life experience. I was involved with marketing and sales all my life. I kept saying, you know, Project Independence is a wonderful idea, but nobody knows about it. So now what? You know, so you have to get the word out somehow. And so to answer your question, I got involved. I knew I wanted to do something. I didn't know what it was going to be. And it sort of fell into my lap. And I've been involved now, I guess it's 14 or 15 years.
Wow.
And now I'm doing the radio bit with John, who's still on there somewhere, and loving every minute of it.
It's
and
great.
besides that, I happen to be fortunate. I have a good family nearby, and yeah, I'm a very lucky man. So
yeah, that's terrific. I mean, you know what you said earlier about, you know, doing your memoirs and scrapbooks and those kinds of things. It made me think to have like a list of the top 10 things the top 100 things to do when you retire. You know, whether you retire or not, and if people can pick and choose, if there's a list of 100, maybe there's 2 of those things that you wanted to do. And one of those things, I know someone who's a retired teacher, and she's bouncing off the walls. And so once we open, I'm going to have her do that with some seniors and have them start to, you know, interview and memoir writings and so on. But that may not be for everybody. But I think to have that kind of 100, you know, list of 100 wish list items or things I want to do. It's not even just the bucket list travel, but things I want to do. I'm not saying it the right way, but you know what I'm saying. I think it would be a good thing for us to share with people.
Yeah, I think you have to have a purpose. You have to have a reason. You know, one of the big things, obviously, you have to maintain your health as best you can. And that some of it's luck, and some of it, you know, you can walk and you can do certain things and do what you have to do. But, you know, so much of it is your attitude, I think, towards where you are. And, you know, I look at myself and I'm saying, I'm not the same guy. I was in the Navy. I just saw a picture of myself the other day. I said, that's me, you know. You know, I mean, you know, one of the biggest things about getting older is you have to get adapted to getting older.
Yeah.
You know, it's the way it works, you know, whether you like the idea or not. That's how it works. You know, you can't go backwards. I have people, I tell them, frankly, I say, get off the pity pot, you know. You know, we all have problems of some kind, and you can make a long list if you choose to. So, you know, that's my story.
Yeah.
I've got 2 things, if I might. I have a very good friend named Kathy Martin, and she's known as the running realtor. And she is, I don't know, she's coming in on about age 70 by now, and she is the most successful female marathon runner in the world.
Wow.
And she's always reading when she's traveling. And so I said to her, what are you reading, Kath? And she said, I'm reading a book called Younger Next Year. And so I went to the bookstore and I bought Younger Next Year. It's written by 2 guys, an internist named Dr. Lodge, and I think the other guy is an attorney named Bill Crowley. And I have read it 5 or 6 times, and I've given this out as a gift. And essentially, it's not a feel-good, fluffy book. It's very entertaining, but it's also very informative. And right from the beginning, it asks the question, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be as you grow older? And it talks about aging mentally and physically and emotionally. And just like Otto is saying, you know, you have to have a reason to be, you have to have a purpose. And you have to have a reason to put your feet down on the ground every day. But at the same time, you also have to challenge yourself physically as much as you can to push and to push and to push. So I really do recommend that book to everyone. And then if I can just add, there's a guy, a gentleman that several of us know and we all have crazy love for. And he's a very active man, just like Otto, and that is Carl Elena, who is now 94 years old. Carl lost his wife 12 years ago and suddenly, and he said to his brother John, his kid brother, who is now 90, and he said, John, I'm just going to let the sidewalk roll up now. I have a tuxedo in the closet. Bury me in that. It's all good. I'm done. And John said, not on my watch. You're not done. So he pulled him into Kiwanis. From Kiwanis, it became the Chamber of Commerce. It became the Senior Center. It became Project Independence. It became the Veterans. It became the Ronald McDonald House. It became Our Lady of Fatima. This man does more in 1 week than a lot of people do in a year.
You forgot to mention the Cowneck Road Bakery.
Oh, that's right. He bakes and cooks every day,
Yeah.
and so much of what he does, he's flying below the radar. If he hears about someone who's in trouble, is in need of a meal, he delivers it to their door. A phenomenal guy who, just like Otto is describing, and Otto himself, that are active and vibrant and living their best lives. And personally, it's a tremendous inspiration to me, really is. Yeah.
Kathy, can you say the name of the book again?
Yes, Younger Next Year.
Oh, next year. I wrote tomorrow. I would have had a hard time
No,
finding
Debbie, you have a whole year.
I got a whole year to get
You have
younger.
a whole year. You have a whole year.
Thank you.
Kathy, who is the author, please?
It's the author is Dr. Lang. I think it's Lange, and Bill Crawley. It's Crawley. But if you look up Younger Next Year, now they've got a book for men and a book for women. Believe me, it doesn't matter because I've read them both. It's a powerful book, and it really does describe, the aging process. What happens to you mentally and physiologically? And they say, look around. Who's the person you want to be like when you are, God willing, 90 years old? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be that person shuffling along, or do you want to be Otto here, or Carl Elena, who are out there living their best lives? And so it's very informative and powerful.
Do you have something to add on a positive spin with this, with your experience?
Oh,
You're unmute yourself, Nina.
oh, Nina.
There we go.
Okay. No, I loved hearing that story, Kathy. Thank you so much. That was great. Not really. I can't think of anything on the spot. So you could go to the next person.
All right. Well, myself being one of the youngest people here, I've got to say got one laugh anyway. But no,
Try not to be rude.
I got roped into the Kiwanis because of Carl Elena and Jerry, the two bad boys.
Me too.
And it's been a ride ever since. We have people from the 30s to the 90s. And the thing is, we give a job to anybody who asks. It doesn't matter what age your physical limitations are. Everybody has a job to do, whether it's calling up people who haven't seen you or arranging for an event, a fundraiser. Everybody gets involved. And this town, Port Washington, and other towns like this, that have a lot of events. They're looking for people to do anything, even if it's just licking stamps onto envelopes and mailing them or whatever it is. There's always something to do. In Port, I got to tell you, there's something every week. There are more organizations, and get involved, talk with other people, mix it up. That's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you mentally alert, a positive frame of mind, because you sit there by yourself and isolate, bad things can happen.
Yeah.
All right. And you've got to fight past that urge to sit on the sofa and watch TV, you know, so you have to get out there and meet life. Anyway.
Jeff, that's so true. And I want to do a shameless plug for FCA Volunteer Programs. We have so many opportunities in our Ombud Service program, Markarian in our Bill Payer program. We have a Friendly Visitor program. We have our High Health Insurance Counseling program, and you could get as involved each opportunity. You could do it for 1 hour a week, or you can be more involved and do things that take 3 hours a week. But we desperately need volunteers. And like you said, it's so great to have a purpose. Most of our best volunteers are older adults, or they're having their second careers. We have retired teachers, retired accountants, and there's something for everybody to do. So give us a call. We definitely need volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anybody else want to add to that? Any positive coping skills that people are doing that you're seeing, noticing, and a difference in folks? And
I think that what we've seen with many of our Project Independence members, they really have learned how to reframe the situation that we're in. I see so much gratitude. I would say the Project Independence members, so many of them are our heroes. One of the things we see, you know, we have 6 advisory committees, and many people are ambassadors for Project Independence. And I think just doing that makes many of our seniors feel so valued. We embrace them. We want the ideas about programming. It warms our heart to see people who are participating in the programs. I also want to mention, just like Lisa has a program, we are always looking for volunteers that will participate for the telephone reassurance program. We've had so many volunteers that are seniors that we can't fill it. So what I've been doing is saying, does it matter whether you're the volunteer or the senior that's getting the phone call? The whole idea is to connect with somebody new. People are getting tired, of speaking to their spouses or just their children. They want another interaction. They want to hear what somebody else's life is like. So what we've been doing is we've been matching just seniors together so they can have these wonderful conversations. And it really has enhanced their lives. You know, on a very basic level, we encourage our seniors to keep a schedule. I think people that wake up in the morning, make their bed, write down a few things they'd like to accomplish during the day, dress up, put makeup on, and just keep the same rituals, keeps you really well grounded. Another thing, I heard this on the television, and it's so true. Of course, we're all going to miss having traditional Thanksgivings. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different comfort level. Some people are really sticking to the lockdown. They're listening to recommendations of the CDC. They're staying home. They're going to Zoom or call their friends and family on Thanksgiving. Then there are other people who have a comfort level and say, no, I'm going to have the 10 people at my house. I feel comfortable doing this. I don't think we can pass judgments on that. But what we are trying to do is let everybody has to make good decisions and choices for themselves without us judging it. So what I heard on the television was that a Zoom Thanksgiving is better than an ICU for Hanukkah or Christmas. And I think
So
and,
true.
I think it was such a brilliant statement.
Yeah.
I think that most seniors, again, it's a lifetime of experience, and they understand that it's more important to stay for the long haul, see the marriages, see all the celebrations of your family. One Thanksgiving in the scheme of things, it's okay. You'll just reinvent your traditions, whether, like I said, it be calling people or Zooming. But I think all of us can say we'd rather stick around and give up one holiday. And again, that's a judgment call.
Thank you.
That's my piece.
Huh.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Arlene.
hey, Connie, you have something to say?
Oh, I was just going to talk about my mom. She's on home hospice, and the aid has been her godsend. My mother is an avid crocheter, and she taught the aide how to crochet. So they are busy making multiple hats every single day for donation to women's shelter, for the moms, for the kids, for the veterans, for the children's hospital. We did a round in the summer of 3 generations making the crocheted ear savers. We had this like amazing assembly line going, who's crocheting, who's putting the buttons on. But it talks to the sense of purpose. That's what keeps her going.
Yeah.
So
I would love to see also, I'm going to just say this. I shared a bedroom with my grandmother for many, many, many years. My father and my mother brought my grandmother here from Beirut, Lebanon. She taught me about my faith. She taught me to speak, I'm Armenian, taught me to speak Armenian. And I really would love to see programs. I know when COVID is, we can start socializing more, to see children speaking to older adults and interacting, whether it's the kids. My son, I started later in life. My son is 11 years old, and he knows how to do all the computers, and he shows me. I'm 57. He shows me. I'm like, help me with this. If we can connect people up, the different generations. Our caregiver, that watches my son, she's 72, 73 years old. She's in Kiwanis, and she does a lot of volunteer work.
Hey,
And I have to say that he learns. It's like one of his best friends is Joyce, and and she's 70 something years old, and they have a great relationship. I'm envious of the relationship, but I'm the mommy. I have a different relationship than she. So I'd love to see something like that, because we can all learn from each other. And I think kids really love that kind of love and storytelling and insight and wisdom that comes from being around longer. That's all.
Right. Well said.
Carol McBride?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to everybody speaking today. As everybody has been through COVID doing a lot of these Zoom meetings, everyone I go on, I seem to learn more and more and see more people in the field and learn other things that are out there. And I've been working with seniors my whole career. It's probably 37 years. And right now I'm at Herrick Senior Center, and we too have been closed since mid-March. And in the beginning, as Lisa Stern was saying, everyone pretty much funded through Nassau County was doing a lot of the telephone reassurance calls. And between myself and 2 part-timers, we're probably calling 140 seniors, rotating obviously. And some, as Debbie was saying before, some are doing really okay. And they were saying, oh, you really don't have to call, because thankfully we're in an area where the families, most of them are around. We do have the quite a few older, more vulnerable seniors. And for those people in the beginning, and those with some economic issues, although again, not many, because the area we're in is not one of the lower income areas, thank goodness. Most of them were doing okay food-wise. So the county had asked that we find out who wanted the emergency food boxes. So we were giving out them from about March to September. In August, we ended up serving chilled meals to the seniors, probably about 25 seniors, 2 meals on a Monday, 2 meals on a Friday. So that enabled them to get that face-to-face contact, even though it was just a very quick, hello, how are you? At least they were getting that contact. And it felt good for everybody, you know, staff included. None of us went into these jobs to be doing what we're doing now over phones. And, you know, we all want that hands-on face-to-face. You know, that's what gives us so much of the reward and the fulfillment in our jobs. And then, so the chilled meals were going very well. We had Long Island Cares contact us, and some of our members are getting bags of perishable and non-perishable foods. Again, another way to reach out. For Halloween, staff got dressed up in costumes and delivered the food that day, and we gave them a little Halloween bag with some word games and crayons and a little coloring sheet. And of course, I had to put in the benefits of coloring and therapeutic coloring as far as mental acuity and stress relaxation. It uses both sides of the brain, because I thought the crayons they may take it the wrong way, but we all know the adult coloring has boomed, you know. And then for the holidays too, we're kind of giving to the probably about 70 seniors little bags with jigsaw puzzles, word find books, and just things to try to keep them occupied and stimulated when they're not with families or they're not on the Zoom calls. And Debbie also mentioned the challenge with getting some of the adult children involved, because the people that we're most concerned about are the more vulnerable and the ones that have the visual impairments and the hearing impairments, and they're not driving and they can't manipulate an iPad. So to try to get the family members involved, that's a challenge, because some of the responses I've gotten when the other thing is we're also emailing probably about 150 people, all the virtual programming that's available, which is just amazing amount, as you all know, because of the libraries and EAC and just everything. There's so many things available. But one of the family members said to me when I asked for the email, so he can keep his mother informed since she doesn't have an email, the response was, oh, I can't get another email. I just can't. I get so many work emails, or I get so much junk mail. And I think that was so discouraging, because you think it wasn't a response I expected. And I guess I expected most of the adult family members to say, oh yeah, great. And many of them have. We have a ton of emails for the family that are more than willing to share and help. But that is a challenge, I think, getting the family members involved. But at any rate, I just wanted to share all that, and just, again, thank everybody for sharing everything they're doing. And it's very informative.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Jeff, you want to put
Yes.
a bow on it?
That's what I was thinking, Kathy. Does anybody have a burning desire to add to this tonight's discussion? And by the way, we'd like to see many of you, if not all of you, in the spring to see how things are going around after this second pandemic we seem to be in.
Yeah.
It would be a good follow-up, I think.
Yeah, you're a great panel. It would be great to meet up with you again in a few months. Great
So,
thing.
if no one else has anything to add, what I'll ask the Port Library to do at this point is put up the 2 pages we have, the resource links, and there is a hotline up there as well for the Elder Abuse Unit, and if they have a problem, always call 911. But if Omar can help us out, or if Jeff Zay is there, or whomever, I see your logo, so you're there.
Oh, there's the link.
Now,
Okay, now what do we do with that link?
Wait a minute, it just disappeared.
well, what I can do
Would it
is
be better
to-
if you emailed it to everybody?
how's that? I did that myself. How about that?
Look at
Here's
you.
something else, I'll tell you.
Wow.
Yeah, that's our logo that was made for us. So there we go. I had to put that up.
All right,
No.
that's great.
Yeah.
What are we going? I can't
Now,
do
this gonna-
anything with this, buddy.
Now there's going to be a new share here. Yeah.
Oh, where's the link
Let's see here.
Oh, share screen. No, that's not.
It's a tough crowd.
Yeah, I know it is, right? Okay, now let's see here. I'm getting there. All right. Okay, now.
Just talk amongst yourselves.
Hey,
Yeah, just
just as a suggestion,
Yes, Otto.
could you email this to everybody?
Absolutely.
Yeah, frankly, we'll see it on the screen, but what do you do with it?
all
There
right.
you
So
go.
there is the, why does it keep doing that?
It would be helpful to have everyone's email addresses too, so when you email it, then we'll have everyone's emails.
Nice.
Wink,
Yes.
wink, wink.
Yeah, okay, so there we go.
Oh, there, wink.
There it is.
Yeah, okay,
Does
So-
Otto see that?
I see it, yeah.
yeah.
So
So
you have,
basically, yeah.
so you
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 have,
save it as something.
Yeah, you have Project Independence on the bottom here. And you have Family and Children's Association, FCA, Huntington Drug and Alcohol Counseling, Long Island Council for Alcohol and Drug Addiction, LICAD. And by the way, they were asking for donations too, because they're low on funds too. Everybody's hit hard. So you have all of these places that you can call. And I just referred somebody who was having a problem, and I asked them to contact the Seafield Center because the person was ready to stop abusing pills, and he's a tradesman. So somebody reached out to me to help him. So hopefully he has the help he needs. But again, the first thing is just to make a call if you need guidance, if you need help. If you wanted to talk to somebody, call up a friend, see how they're doing. Get the kids involved, make them feel guilty about not seeing you. That always works with me. This other slide that we have here, again, this is a little bit more of upstate-ish with Hauppauge in there, but you have Albany up there, people along that ways. It's New York State Office of Mental Health. But again, those are just
Brentwood.
resources. But again, you could reach out to anybody here tonight. And we do have that flyer. I do know that it was somewhere. Let's see if I have it somewhere around here. No,
It was
apparently,
attached to the email that you sent around, wasn't it?
yeah.
Is that the
that's-
one you mean?
Yeah, it is true. Let's see here. No, we're not going to do it that way.
If the problem is I tried to save it here, and I'm pretty good at this stuff, but I can't figure out how to
You
save it.
can't do anything with this because it's just
No.
a screen view, unless you took a screenshot of it.
You could take a screenshot of it.
Yeah, but it would be good to have everybody's email addresses too, not just phone numbers.
Yeah,
I'm doing a screenshot.
I had given that to the library like everything else, so sometimes it just disappears. So I don't want to get too crazy here. I could try all my files, but again, you never know what's going to pop up, and that's the problem here. So maybe,
Do you want to say something about the December program?
yeah. December 15th, isn't that right, Kathy?
14th.
Monday.
14th. December 14th. What we're going to have there, our discussion. Let me just get rid of all of this here. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to stop the share here. What we're going to have is people with personal experience, all right? And that's people who are in recovery from substance abuse, any type of issue that they may be going through, and how they've dealt with it, recovery, support groups, their success stories. All right. And they're going to share their experience, strength, and hope going into the new year, but ending this old year on a good, positive note. These people have courage. They've been through hell and back, and now they're doing well. They're going about life on life's terms, and it's really amazing. We're going to have some young folks. We're going to have some older folks. All right. Everybody's in between. I mean, substance abuse is an equal opportunity life's destroyer. It's that simple. So, we're already set for January. We're going to have 2 shows, 3 days. Over the course of 3 days, we're going to work with Circle K kids on Long Island universities. That's the college level of Kiwanis. And I just set it up. We're going to be working hopefully with the Delphi University using their platform. That's going to be awesome. So college students is going to be a lot of energy there. We're also going to talk about folks that have parents that have lost a loved one or have a daughter or son that is in recovery and what they've gone through, the support, the love, all of the mixed emotions and where they are now on a positive note. So it's going to be 2 powerful segments, one with people who are in recovery and then parents who have lost one. And we had them speak at the Port Washington Library last year, and they were so powerful. And they become advocates in their own right. I mean, really amazing what losing a loved one or having a loved one, almost losing one, what they're doing now. I mean, everybody I'm talking to is an advocate, and everybody I talk to knows somebody who's had an issue or is having an issue. So it's out there, but people are afraid to talk about it, So hopefully by continuing to do this, we lift that veil of stigmatism, right? We just have to keep it out there, and we need funding. I mean, the state is, they're going through a critical time now, but that means less funds for programs, less programs for like your elder abuse unit there, Arlene, and mental health organizations really need help. So if you're thinking about giving a few bucks out at the end of the year, think about some of these programs. They definitely use it, and they're nonprofit organizations too. So, even if it isn't, feel free to give to them because they really need it. They help people real time.
Can I just let everybody know, I'm no longer involved with it, but there's a foundation called the Dejana Family Foundation, and they're based in Port Washington, and they mainly give in Port Washington, but it's not exclusive to Port Washington. So it's, and I haven't been involved since earlier in the year, so I'm not sure if they have money left to give away that they have to give away before the end of the year. But if you go to dejanafoundation.org, DEJANA, foundation.org, and you go on there, contact us, and at the bottom there's an application. You fill it out. It can't hurt. You can ask for $10,000 or whatever you want to ask for, and the worst they can do is say, sorry, we can't help you, but ask again next year. So just a suggestion.
Yep.
You have to be a 501c3 organization because they're a private foundation, but other than that, there are no restrictions.
All right. So if anybody needs a contact number from the speakers that are here tonight, you can email Project Help Long Island at Gmail. That's Project Help Long Island at gmail.com, and we'll provide you with the name, contact, the number, email address, and all that. All right. So
Great.
In any case, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. 90 minutes plus. I mean, it goes fast, a lot of information out there. Hope somebody benefited from this, and it's being recorded by the library. And as soon as we get the link, it'll be on the Port Washington Library channel. It'll be on Project Help Long Island's Facebook page. All right. And we'll mail it out to the, email it out to the speakers as well.
Right.
So, in any case, I want to wish everybody a very, very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much, and thank you for including me in this.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Take care, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Good night.
Bye.
You too.
Bye. Bye.
Okay.